It was a typical workday when I arrived at my office complex to find a bizarre scene. Karen from the HOA was striding around the parking lot, clipboard in hand, claiming she had authority over my office. She called 911, insisting that I was violating community rules by operating my business without HOA approval. What she didn't know was that I owned the entire complex. Every building, every parking space, and every utility connection. Her audacious claims were about to backfire spectacularly. Karen waved her clipboard at me like a weapon. "You can't just run your business here. The HOA says this property falls under our oversight. Stop immediately or we'll call the authorities." I stopped walking, hands on my hips, and smiled calmly. "Karen, this is my office complex. I own every square inch. Your HOA has no authority here. You're trespassing and making false claims to 911. She didn't flinch. "I've already called 911. Let's see what they say." I calmly pulled out my phone and sent a quick alert to the private security team I maintain for the complex. Cameras activated, entrances locked, and a series of automated warnings boomed across the property. "Unauthorized interference with private property detected. Leave immediately or face legal consequences." Karen's confidence faltered slightly, but she tried to maintain authority, rallying a few HOA members to support her. "See? We're enforcing community rules. You can't ignore us." I shook my head. "You can ignore us, and that's exactly what I'm doing. But the law is very clear, you're trespassing." Moments later, deputies arrived on site, responding to Karen's 911 call. They were greeted by the security footage showing Karen and her HOA members walking across private property without permission, attempting to interfere with legal business operations. The lead deputy approached Karen firmly. "Ma'am, you have no authority over this property. You are trespassing and interfering with private business operations. Any further interference will result in arrest." Karen sputtered, claiming she was enforcing community regulations. But the deputies weren't buying it. "Those rules do not apply to private property owned by the individual. You have crossed the line into illegal trespassing." Karen tried to argue her case in front of the assembled deputies and neighbors, but every claim she made was easily disproven with property deeds, security footage, and legal documentation of my ownership. My team restored all control over the office complex, and the automated security measures continued to monitor the property, ensuring she couldn't enter again. The HOA board was notified immediately, and Karen's enforcement privileges were revoked. The official notice stated that any future trespassing or interference could result in criminal charges, civil suits, and permanent removal from any HOA enforcement role. Meanwhile, my business operations continued uninterrupted. Every office remained functional, employees were safe, and Karen's attempt to assert unauthorized control was completely neutralized. Karen had thought calling 911 and attempting to assert HOA authority over my office complex would intimidate me. Instead, she triggered law enforcement intervention, public embarrassment, and permanent loss of authority, all while my property, operations, and employees remained fully secure. Karen called 911 claiming authority over my office. Instead, she faced law enforcement scrutiny, public humiliation, and permanent revocation of HOA enforcement powers, while I maintained complete ownership and control of the entire complex.